To understand just how far Darius Yohe has come along in his basketball journey, you'd have to start over a decade ago when he would form a relationship that would place him on a path to reach his full potential.
The first time I've ever seen Coach Bell, I was in like third grade at Northern's little kids camp. That's the first time I remember him, but the first time I ever talked to him was fifth grade.
At the time, Charles Belt was an assistant coach for the Northern Michigan men's basketball team under former head coach Bill Saul. While basketball would become a common ground between the two, their first conversation took place outside of a traditional basketball setting.
Our first year there, Billy Hill was also an assistant at Northern. And Billy was Dre's big brother in the big brother, little brother program, Dre being Darius's older brother. And as you can imagine, if anyone knows Darius, he's just a butterfly, right? He's always around. And so there were moments where Billy would ask me, hey, do you mind coming with? Dre's younger brother, Darius, comes along. And he's like, I just don't, just out of fairness of time and commitment, he's like, I think you all would really connect. And would you be willing to spend time with him?
Belt agreed to meet Darius, and they instantly connected just as expected. Little did either of the two know at the time this would mark the beginning of a lifetime bond.
I watched him grow up. I mean, you're with him a ton. He's a basketball junkie. He's always been like that. So he'd be over in the practice facility over at Northern. Anytime he could find a way to get a door open and get in there. Every single basketball camp we did, he was at camp.
As their relationship grew stronger, Belt began to realize Yohe's passion for basketball ran deep. Yohe even offering up advice from time to time for the up-and-coming coach.
He wanted to know everything. Who are we recruiting? How good is this guy going to be? I've looked up this guy. I've looked up that guy. He knew more stats about players incoming or than the coaching staff sometimes, right? And it just was really great to watch him mature in terms of being just this little happy kid that was around basketball and that I was around for a ton of time to really trying to become a basketball prospect.
As the years progressed, Yohe would blossom into a star high school player for the Ishpeming Hematites. Yohe showed gradual progression as a player throughout his career, flashing potential with a natural ability as a rim protector and athleticism rarely seen in the area. Despite his abilities on the court, as graduation neared, Yohe began to slowly accept the reality of his basketball career ending before it even began.
I had no looks coming out as soon as my high school career was done. I was just gearing up, getting ready for what school I was going to go to. Originally I was going to go to Michigan State to attend and become a nurse, but then Coach Bell came to my doorstep in April and gave me the opportunity, and then that's when everything started to change.
During Yohe's recruiting process, questions would arise about the competition level Yohe faced at Ishpeming and his ability to further develop an offensive game. But Belt believed Yohe possessed the traits needed that would translate to the collegiate level.
I think that was the biggest thing for me. I was able to see the three things I value the most. High intelligence in terms of his basketball IQ, extremely basketball tough, and then he's always been a phenomenal athlete.
Standing at the time at 6'9", Belt believed Yohe had the frame to be an instant contributor on the defensive end with room to grow scoring the basketball.
Anyone that follows me, I've always been a defensive first coach. So for me, I value that ahead of a guy that's maybe a better quote scorer, but doesn't bring those three intangibles.
With Belt's backing, Saul and the Wildcats' interest began to peak.
Assistants only do so much from a recruiting standpoint. Me and Coach Saul, we had a phenomenal relationship as it went to not just how we worked, but how we recruited. We were very, very like-minded in the type of players we liked. Darius was one of the ones that we actually were split on. And split from the standpoint of not whether or not he could play college basketball, but split on because there's still scholarship value, right? What is, his scholarship value as a college basketball player as an incoming freshman?
But just as things started to progress between the Wildcats and Yohe, a new opportunity would come calling. Belt, whose name began to heat up for a head coaching position, would accept a new gig as the head coach for the William Woods University Owls, an NAIA program located in Fulton, Missouri. After assessing his roster that he would soon inherit, Belt realized a need for depth in their front court, and Belt knew exactly who he wanted to fill that role.
When I came back to Marquette after I had accepted the job and kind of did the press stuff that you do in the initial, I'm sitting in Coach Saul's office and we're talking, and he, it's all great vibes, right? He's excited, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go. I have a home visit. And he's like, home visit? Like, who up here are you recruiting for a home visit? Like, there's nobody up here that you'd be doing a home visit with. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to go over to Darius's house. Me, his mom, his grandparents are going to have a sit down. And he goes, oh, you sly devil, you. He's like, you're going to take Yohe.
What Saul didn't know is Belt had already decided he was going to offer Darius a scholarship. It would be the first scholarship offer Belt would give as a head coach.
I knew for me and my style and our connection as well that I was going to always be able to get the absolute most out of what Darius Yohe could be. The only question mark I had, if we're being honest, the only question mark I ever had was if he would be comfortable being away from home. He's a very homebodied person.
First, I had to ask him how far it was. And when he said it was 12 hours, I was just like, whoa, like I'm going across multiple states. I'm going to be 12 hours from home. Like if I have some issues, then I'm basically on my own. And like I had to talk to my mom, I had to talk to my brother. And like they said, if this is the decision you want to make, we're going to support you 100%. As soon as they gave me the okay, I was completely fine. Like I always like UP always has a place in my heart, but like sometimes you got to move on from it.
With his family's backing, Yohe decided to take the leap and attack the unknown with the courage he carries with him every time he steps on the basketball court. He and Belt hit the road, turning the page for a new chapter of their basketball story. With the arrival of Belt as a new head coach for the William Woods men's basketball program, a new positive energy could be felt throughout the university's campus. While Belt was busy game planning for the upcoming season, Yohe was navigating through his new lifestyle of being a college freshman and adapting to the play on the court.
He had maybe a month or two in the beginning, like every freshman. But once it clicked, I mean, wow, it clicked fast. And I look like I'm a better coach than I probably am because everybody comes back to you and is like, how'd you know? Everybody missed on it. And it's like, beauty's the eye of the beholder. It's not always that people miss on someone. Someone doesn't always fit each particular coach, and I knew Darius fit me.
And while Darius was beginning to show that potential that Belt firmly believed in, it wasn't always a smooth ride.
It's the first game. And Darius fouls out, I believe, in about 58 seconds of game time. It's the fastest. It might be the fastest foul out in NAIA history. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's boop, boop. I mean, it is the wildest film you could ever watch.
All I heard from the sideline was let him foul out. That was the only thing I remember. He didn't tell me, like, when you're in the restricted area, you have to jump. I did not know that. And like I got dinged for it twice, and I was like looking at Belt, and I was like, well, what am I doing? So much was going through my head. I was like, don't mess this up, don't mess this up.
As the season progressed, Yohe would find his footing. He continued to earn more minutes thanks to the helping hand of senior Cody Whitlock, who took Darius under his wing.
Cody is just a blue collar guy. He's kind of more like a person that would meet up in the Upper Peninsula. Well, it turns out that his dad's actually from Gwynn. So I thought that was amazing. And like we got to talk because he's actually been up here. And like he is on how many times we went to the gym at like 8 a.m., 8 p.m. It doesn't really matter on what time it was, but like we worked out with each other almost on like an everyday basis, even on the weekends. Cody has a special place in my heart because he is one of the pillars that made me into who I am today.
But by the time we got to about the 7th game, Cody comes to me, and this is veteran leadership, and he's like, I think Darius should start, which is crazy, right? I mean, that's amazing. Like that's when you know you have a great culture, and to have that in year one, I was like, wow, okay, we're gonna be fine here.
Darius took advantage of his increasing minutes, finishing his freshman season being named the American Midwest Conference Defensive Player of the Year. It would be the first of 4 straight defensive honors he would earn during his time as an Owl.
Once you start to have some success, you start asking yourself, where could this go for me? What could I become? And as we had those conversations and those things became more of a reality and the accolades start to come, you go from defensive player of the year and all freshman team to defensive player of the year and third team all conference to defensive player of the year, second team, defensive player of the year, first team. Now it's like, I could possibly do this.
After 4 years at William Woods, Darius would go on to graduate with his bachelor's in communications. Belt would continue his climb up the coaching ladder, accepting a head coaching job at Oklahoma Panhandle State. But this time, Belt and Yohe would go their separate ways. Yohe would transfer to Emporia State to play under head coach Craig Doty and begin his master's program in business administration. On the court, the most memorable moment happened when Yohe and Belt would go head-to-head when OPSU and Emporia State faced each other last November.
Getting to the game, one of his freshmen blocked my shot, and all I heard was, "Welcome to OPSU." And I just started laughing.
Yohe ended his final college season, finishing 3rd in all of Division II in total blocks and blocks per game. But Yohe says his accomplishments academically are what he's most proud of.
Like, I just felt like that this has to be like a go. Like, I have to go do this for my family. I want to make them proud. And now, like, I'm on the verge of getting my master's degree. I only have like 3 more classes, and then I'm going to be a first-gen master's student, which I hope that I won't be needing to use my degree until like maybe like a decade down the line, maybe 15 years.
With his college career officially in the books, Yohe has now turned his attention to professional basketball. He's currently back in the UP training with his older brother Dre at Ishpeming High School as he awaits his next opportunity. But while speaking with Local 3, Yohe ended our conversation with breaking news.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing overseas in Germany in Bamberg. That was the first contract that I got. I had it mentioned to me last week, and like he told me like where it was, and I did my research, looked out where the city was, and yeah, and then I talked to my fiance about it, and she said that she liked it, and like she's coming with me, and I decided, yeah, no, might as well shoot for it. I signed it actually like 35 minutes ago. Oh yeah.
So this is fresh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
From a young, wide-eyed high school graduate, nervous to leave his home in Ishpeming, to now transforming into a 6'11" accomplished college player who's about to wrap up his master's degree while also preparing for his next adventure in Europe. Darius's story is a great example of what can be accomplished when you face fear head-on and take the leap. And you can expect Coach Belt to be near, providing his continued support, just as he has since first meeting Darius many years ago.
He's like one of the only people besides my grandfather that I actually thought of as a father figure. He's been there since I was 10. From 10 to the age of 24, he's been there every step of the way. He taught me everything, actually. He taught me how to do my taxes. He taught me how to do everything. Like, he is an inspiration because of all the stuff that he's done. Even like just looking at him at an individual standpoint, like looking at him from freshman year to looking at him now, he's changed a lot. And it's inspired me to become a better basketball player, a better person on and off the court.
Yeah, really, really proud of who he's become, the growth that he is as a young man. And ultimately the fighter that he was to beat out a lot of odds and statistics that, single parent kids go through. And me being one myself, we've connected for more than just basketball and life. And I couldn't be more proud of my son. I'm very happy of who he's become.